Tide in, dirt out.
Nothing else will wash as clean as Tide, yet is so mild. Now Tide brings you
a deadline full of drama and hope, a day marked on a calendar, a crisis to be met. Tiny clothes to tell a great big story, a smiling daddy bringing smiles to you. A cutout picked for Miss Venus herself. You'll see who fills it as the sweet love story comes true. 3 symbols, 3 stories, all brought here today on your account.
Welcome to On Your Account. Welcome to the fun, the suspense, and the thrills of watching your neighbors win all the happiness they deserve. And now here to greet them and to greet you is your host, Win Elliott.
On account of all the guests who are going to be here today, welcome to On Your Account. And first of all, let me express our heartfelt thanks to all of you for your just wonderful responses to our film excerpts, our film reports on the behalf of the fellows overseas who are serving in the United States Navy. As you know, we've been bringing you these reports each day. And so now, without any further ado, before we meet our other guests and get to our thrilling stories and games, what do you say we have another report on account of those lads who are overseas, our boys in uniform, 4,200 miles away to Naples Bay. Let's go there now. And here we are as our Tide reporter, Bob Quigley, turns to another of our boys overseas and finds out what's in an American lad's heart.
Well, thanks a lot, Win. We're about 4,200 miles from the friendly bank, and we're in the friendly city of Naples. It's kind of a busy port. Right over my shoulder, you can see Mount Vesuvius. And standing right next to me is a handsome young fellow by the name of Bill Gerke. He comes from Detroit, Michigan. Bill was a little hesitant about seeing his picture, showing his picture, but he did have a picture he was kind of proud of. Do you happen to have one?
Yes, I have, Bob. I have quite a few pictures here of my family, which I'm very proud of. This picture was taken when my son was 2 months old, and I left him 2 weeks later. And this one when he was 3 months old. Here's another one when he was 4 months old.
Bill,
Bob.
do you happen to have one about 6 months?
So I have. Here's an excellent shot my wife sent me. He's 6 months old.
Young Billy at 6 months is a very handsome young fellow, and I must
Thank
say
you.
he looks kind of like you. Do you think so?
Well, yes, my wife's nose. She says he looks like me, but I don't know.
I think I agree with your wife. I want you folks to see this picture of young Billy. Well, now tell me, when did you see Billy last?
Well, when I left him, he was 2 months old, and he's already past his first birthday, which was in January. And it's been 17 months.
17 months.
Since I saw him last.
Well, the boys told me that when you go to Naples, you always have your eye out for the baby carriages, and you look around, and when you see a youngster, you kind of spend a little extra time with him. Of course, I can understand that because of little Billy. Have you been doing any shopping for him?
Yes, I have, Bob. I bought him quite a few nice clothing, and I sent him quite a few toys home, which my wife will get quite a kick out of also.
You bought some clothing?
Yes.
Well, how do you know the right size?
Well, she said in the last letter he takes size 3 now, so I imagine he's getting to be quite a big boy.
Wonderful. Tell me, Bill, what are your plans right after the Navy?
Well, my main concern is my family, Bob, and I have a job waiting for me at General Motors, which my father and brother work at.
Well, thank you very much, Bill. Well, right now it's time to return to Win Elliott at the Friendly Bank. But before we do, Bill, I want you to know that we have a film record of what's been taking place this afternoon in Naples. Now, 16 or 18 years from now, you may like to show this film to your son, Billy, and I wonder if you have a special message for him. Now, the camera's out there. Why don't you talk to your son?
Yes, I have, Bob. Son, I know we'll be looking forward to this in the near future, and there's only one thing I have to say. You and I don't know each other very well now. Your mother is doing a wonderful job. And I know, son, that it's just a matter of time. But, son, just take good care of your mother, and I love and miss you both very much. And, honey, remember this, I love you very much, and there's nothing stands between us except space, and it's just a matter of time. I want to do and love to do the things we plan to do together. That's all, honey. Goodbye.
That's all, but it sure was plenty, and I know that probably your breath is pretty much out of you now, Mrs. Gerke, but you've had a chance to see Big Bill. How did he make you feel?
I haven't felt this way since the day he asked me to marry him.
I know those are tears of happiness because you've had a chance to see him. I think any woman would be thrilled to have her husband stand up in front of the whole wide world and tell everybody how much he loves his wife.
I certainly am.
Sure, we can understand that.
Incidentally, in looking at Bill, did he look any different to you? How did he look?
Well, a little bit thinner, but I've got recipes at home his mother and my mother gave me to make him fatter, and we're going to run a race to see who can make him fatter.
I bet so. And, of course, Little Bill's getting taken care of, too. We're going to go over to the bank and work for you and Little Bill and Big Bill, too. But before we do, just as Big Bill was able to talk to you, we have cameras and a microphone here to do today, and we can make a record that will last forever, too. So if you'd like to return in kind to your husband what he has made possible for you today, if you look just out in that direction, you can make the whole world happy by bringing them into your love story. You talk to Bill.
Honey, you said there was nothing but space between us. I really don't think that there's anything separating us anymore. We'll have our happiness again. I know how you feel, and you know how I feel. We'll have our happiness. One of these days, Billy, you and I are going to have good times again, and there will be no need for any talking letters between us anymore.
That's right. And that day is not too far in the future, too. Days go fast when you have somebody to look forward to meet as wonderful as your husband, Bill. Mrs. Gerke, it's a pleasure, and I'm sure you've made everybody feel that much better. It's such a beautiful love story. Now let's go to work and get a little cash for the family, shall we?
There you see the four-tied question vaults. As always, they're full of 4 questions each, and they get harder as their worth goes up. And as you can see, we've already credited $40 to Mrs. Gerke's account.
Thank
Okay,
you very much, Bill. Mrs. Gerke, this is our bank, and boy, I'll bet you the whole town of Detroit, Michigan is just busting for you to get that bonus. Now, where the bonus is, well, some of them took time off from their work to come here and greet you. Now, where the bonus is, we don't know. It's flashed out there on the screen. However, if you happen to ask for the right question, we'll find out, because this is what we hear. That's right, when we hear that, we go right to work, and if you correctly answer that question, this is what you get.
$1 United States bond from famous Beacon Wax. And today we're adding a case of giant-sized Tide. A $500 bond from the Vitamin Corporation of America, makers of Ributol, America's most popular vitamin B complex for pep and vitality. Plus, a beautiful Amana year-round room air conditioner featuring Whisper Quiet performance. It's the first completely new air conditioner. Amana, backed by a century-old tradition of fine craftsmanship. Win, this is a jackpot worth nearly $1,500.
Okay, Bill, and it'll all be the Gerkes if you can correctly answer that bonus question. Now, once again, I say we don't know where it is, but they find out both here at the bank and around the country. They can't tell us, so we got to do it here the hard way. So for all that bonus and for the cash that you see available, which question you want to start with first, Mrs. Gerke?
The first 30.
The first 30, right here. All right, it's for the $30 at least, and let's see what it says. Most people have their favorite seasons. Paul Taubman, of course, is no different. You listen, and he's going to tell you what his idea of the best season of all is. All right, Paul? What do you think?
In the good old summertime.
In the good old summertime. That's right. $7 there. All right, there's still all that money still here. Where'll we look for it this time? Which question do you want to try?
The second 30.
The second 30. All right, let's see what it says in terms of $30 anyway. Everything that Midas touched was turned into what metal?
Gold.
Gold, that's right. And you're going to You got 2 more chances. There's still the bonus and still the cash. Which question do you want?
Third 30.
Third 30. Gee, see, I don't know where it is either, but I hope you're coming close. In the old nursery rhyme, the peas porridge was either hot or cold. Can you tell me how old it was?
9 days.
9 days old. All right. Now, we're up to $130, and this is your last chance to knock off that bonus. Which question?
Fourth 30.
The fourth 30. All right, well, we go for the $30, see if we can build it up to 160. In a very famous Christmas story, a character named Tiny Tim played an important part. Can you name the story?
Christmas Carol.
Christmas Carol. Now, you may receive a friendship dividend of $100. I know that you can use this giant economy-sized box of Tide. And, of course, you've earned on your own account for Big Bill and Little Bill, too, $160. It's been our pleasure, and I'm sure Detroit has just loved seeing you today. Now, you be comfortable right over here. Now, ladies and gentlemen, a word on behalf of Tide. No other wash day product, whether it be soap or detergent, can beat Tide. And here's an interesting little film that underscores the truth of that statement.
Sooner or later, almost everyone turns to Tide for clean, clean clothes.
She tried new soaps, detergents too, and wasn't satisfied. But now her clothes are dazzling clean because she turned to Tide.
Yes, Yes, sooner or later, almost everyone turns to Tide because nothing else,
Nothing else?
nothing else will wash as clean as Tide, yet is so mild.
Now, that's our way of telling you that no wash day soap, no other detergent known can match Tide. We've proved it in hundreds of actual washing tests, using every kind of product known, including the newest detergents. The results show nothing can beat Tide's miracle cleaning power for getting clothes really clean, dazzling white. No wonder millions more women use Tide than any other washing product sold. Yes, sooner or later, almost everyone turns to Tide, because nothing else will wash as clean as Tide, yet is so mild.
Thank you, Bob. Ladies and gentlemen, our next two guests visit us from Rochester, New York. It's Mr. and Mrs. Richard Dodlin, and they're here because they're losing a race with the clock and the calendar. At stake is the life, more or less, of a little boy, a sweet little child by the name of Ricky. These are the Dodlins. Hello, Dad. And Mrs. Dodlin, too. In many ways, I think you're the heroine of this story, Mrs. Dodlin, so I wonder if on our account, would you begin its telling?
Well, in a way, I'm an outsider in this story, Mr. Elliot. Some years before I even heard of my husband, he was left with little Ricky to raise.
I see.
At that time, the child was only 2.5 years old, and Richard was still in the Air Force. So he had to leave the child in the care of a very nice family and had to be away from him for a long time. And these were both very hard years for my husband and his son.
I guess we can appreciate that. Of course, when Big Richard here met you, without the little boy realizing it, things immediately started to look up. You fell in love, but before you got married, you went to see Richard, and naturally you would be a little tense and a little anxious. But the results and what that meeting seemed to be like, you reported to us in your letter. I wonder if you could repeat it.
Well, we got to the house and I saw little Ricky. Looks just like his father. When he smiled, it was the same smile. I really believed I loved him from that first smile. And it wasn't long before I thought that he loved me, too, and must have wanted a mother terribly bad.
I see.
Because one day he came up to me and put his arms around me and called me Mommy. And I think that was the sweetest thing that ever happened to me.
What a great day that must have been. And the day seemed to be a lot brighter for Ricky from that time on because you were getting out of the Air Force, I know, Dick. And, of course, the folks who had, Dick, made it plain that you could get him as of September. That is, if you could provide a proper home. And at that time, it didn't look as though any more bad breaks could come Ricky's way, but one did, didn't it, Mr. Dodlin?
Yes, it did. After I got out of the Air Force, I got myself a civilian job. And I was on the job only a few days when I had an injury, and I was out of work for quite a while.
I see.
That's when my wife did something that made me very happy. She went down and got herself a job in the same plant where I was working. And she has been working ever since to try to help me to get the money for the deadline in September so that we could give Ricky the home that he wants.
Yes. Well, despite the fact that you folks have been working as hard as you have, you are losing that race with time that is up, the deadline that is up this September, I know, and that's why you're here today. And for reasons that we don't have time to go into, and that are not so obvious, it's so important that you meet this deadline. Explain why, would you?
Well, you'd really have to see that little boy's eyes to understand. He's had so many disappointments. He just doesn't believe that we're going to give him a home in September.
I see.
I just can't bear the thoughts of him going through another letdown. And that's why I sincerely hope that I can leave here today with enough winnings to keep my promise to that little boy who so richly deserves it. I saw him smile once, Mr. Elliot, and I hope I can always make him smile.
I think you will, too. So let's beat that deadline over at our bank, and we're going to get a chance to meet Ricky in this picture that you've brought of him. While the folks are looking at him, let's go to the bank, shall we? Our Tide Bank, and once again, the bonus question is aware and obvious for you, too. Except it isn't that obvious. We don't know where it is. It's flashed out there in the screen. The whole country knows which one it is except us three. We have to find it here the hard way. So, all right, for the bonus and the obvious cash, too, where will we start? Which question?
First 40.
The first 40. Right up there, please. That means it's ready for me, so let's see what the question says. A lot of Americans are becoming world travelers these days, including the members of the Sixth Fleet. Now, I'll bet a lot of our sailors have visited this very famous place on the Mediterranean. You listen, then Paul Tobin is going to tell you where it is. Paul? The Isle of Capri, that's right. The first one of all. We know you need so many things to start this home so that Ricky can be yours. There's the bonus to help. Where do you think we'll find it?
The second 40? All right, you're going to try the second 40. It's worth $40 at least. What famous beauty of ancient days was supposed to have a face that launched 1,000 ships? Helen of Troy. All right, Mrs. Godley. $120. Let's build that place for Rick now. Where's the bonus? Where do you think? The third 30, you say, right there. Gee, that isn't it. Maybe it was close. I don't know. Can you tell me what Tom, the piper's son, stole?
Pig.
The pig. That's right. All right, good. All right. This is your last chance to put all those things together, and it rests on your final choice, this final question. Which one?
Fourth 40.
The fourth 40. Hey, that's the tie total. All right, you chugged halfway there. Now we try the question, and if you can correctly answer the question, then you will indeed be the one who receives the tie total, the big bonus with all the things that are here for you to win. Now, you heard all the things that were mentioned in the bonus that Bill Rogers mentioned at the very beginning. All right. One of the greatest feats of engineering was scorned when it was being made. It was called mockingly the Big Ditch. What do you think the Big Ditch is?
Panama Canal?
The Panama Canal, I'm sorry, it's the Suez Canal. The Suez Canal. Oh, dear. I'm awfully sorry you just came so close. But that question is more difficult than the one that would normally have been there, so we deposit it to your account anyway. And that means that you may receive the friendship dividend of $100. You're going to walk out here with this great big giant economy-sized box of Tide and load it down with $190 too. I bet you that'll take you a long way towards putting that home together for Ricky. Thank you, folks, and the best to you and the little boy too. Now make yourselves comfortable,
Neighbors on this side of the bank.
Thank you very much. Good. Hello, folks. Who are you and where do you come from?
Mrs. Eva Aberman, St. Paul, Minnesota.
I see.
Denny Jensen from Greenwich, Connecticut.
I see.
Ruth Gooder, Brooklyn, New York.
Then we have the East Coast and the Middle West, too. Well, let's see if you can win $5 apiece in correctly answering this question in our Which Side quiz. Our Paul Taubman is never at a loss for words on any subject. Do you listen and tell me whether his comments on the subject of love are on the sweet side or the sour side? All right, Paul? Side. That's right. Love is the sweetest thing. All right, we have another little test you can take now. This is our daring shampoo comparison test, and for this, how about meeting Bill Rogers?
All right, girls, if you'll join me right over here, and when you get here, I want to explain something. Now, this morning, one side of this girl's hair was washed in hard water with Prell shampoo. And the other side was washed exactly the same way with the famous shampoo of another type. Now, of course, you ladies here don't know which is the Prell wash side, but our television audience does. So suppose you tell me which side looks to you more radiantly alive. And remember that this is the right side and this is the left side. Okay, what do you say?
Right side. Right.
The right side?
Right.
The right side. Well, congratulations. The Prell wash side is the side that looks more radiantly alive. Yes, you know, take a good look yourself, ladies. Just look at that Prell wash side, so gloriously radiant anyone can see the difference. Yes, indeed, Prell leaves your hair so radiantly alive, so soft yet manageable, so sweetly clean. Today, get Prell in a handy unbreakable tube. Ladies, thank you very, very much for being here today, and I'd like to present a handy unbreakable tube of Prell to each one of you.
Thank you.
And now, let's go back to Win Elliott in the Friendly Bank.
Thank you, Bill. Folks, lots of excitement now. Mrs. Evelyn Meddy of Los Angeles, California is here. We just brought her in. She's just tense and excited. She hadn't had much sleep, but it's important that we had her here, and I'd like to have you meet her now because you can see for yourself she looks just as pretty as though it was an important date that you're going to have here. Is it anything like that?
Well, I do have a date, Mr. Elliott. I have a date with my husband, who is 4,000 miles away.
That's right. Bob Quigley, our Tide reporter, bumped into your husband over in the Mediterranean. The two of them got to talking. They said, well, how about having a date with my wife? And we said, fine, we'll arrange it. And all you have to do now, Mrs. Meddy, is look out right out here. And if you can see 4,200 miles away, look in the direction of Naples, Italy, right out there. There, we're on the flight deck of the Midway, and you see Naples, but there's your husband and Bob.
Well, I guess that's about the strangest elevator ride I have ever had. Usually they carry planes on this elevator. Now, there are 3 elevators on the USS Midway. They take the planes from the lower deck and they bring them up here to the flight deck, and there are more than 100 planes on the USS Midway. Well, right now I'd like to talk to a young fellow who's standing on the USS Midway, but this isn't your ship, is it?
That's right, it's not.
Would you tell us your name, where you're from, and your ship, please?
My name is Howard Meddy. I'm from Los Angeles, California, and I'm on the Everett F. Larson, DDR 830.
That's a destroyer, isn't it?
Right.
And that's tied up just across the way there, isn't it?
2 ships down, right?
2 ships down. Tell me, how long have you been in the Navy, Howie?
I've been in the Navy for 3 years and 7 months now, and most of that time I've been away from home.
How do you like Italy?
Oh, Italy's beautiful. There's lots of beautiful country around here, and most of the people are pretty nice. But, well, I guess you get down to it, there's no place like home.
All right, well, who is home for you?
Well, my wife Evelyn and my young son Stephen. He'll be 2 years old in September.
Well, tell me, does Stevie look like you or your wife Evelyn?
Well, everybody says he looks like me.
Well, how about Evelyn? Would you describe Evelyn for me?
Well, let's see. It's been quite a while since I was home.
Well, take your time, Howie. There's
Well,
no rush.
Oh, about 5'6", I'd say, and
about 5'6",
yes, and dark brown hair, and
dark brown hair, yeah,
and brown eyes,
brown eyes, yeah,
yes, and a beautiful smile,
smile,
very
yes,
good. And wonderful personality all around. In fact, I guess you'd say she's just about the nicest thing that's ever happened to me.
About the nicest thing that's ever happened to you. Well, you know, I believe that I can tell you really believe that. You got that look in your eye. And, of course, he has that look in his eye. An overhead jet plane just went kind of fast, spinning over our head. Well, that's the way it is in the busy port of Naples with the Navy ships and their planes. Tell me, when do you think you'll be back visiting that wonderful family of yours?
Oh, I'll be back in last part of October. I get discharged.
Okay, well, now, if you had a chance to win some money, of course, you won't be winning the money. Your wife will be winning it. She's at the Friendly Bank with Win Elliott. What would you do with the money, Howie?
Well, I have a year and a half of college left to finish, and a wife and a son to support, so I think every penny is going to come in handy.
Well, I wish you lots of luck. Okay, now we'll go back to Win Elliott and let's see how your wife Evelyn does, okay?
Fine.
All right, Win.
Okay, Bob. Mrs. Meddy, what did you think about that long-distance description of you that your husband made?
Oh, Mr. Elliott, I've always heard that there's a time in every girl's life when she feels like a queen or a princess. I've just had that moment. However, I don't think I look as good as he described me, but if that's the way he feels about it, fine. I hope I'll always look that way to him.
Well, personally, I think he was a little nervous. He could have even done better. You look real great to all of us here at the bank. You know, if your husband could love you anymore, I'm sure he would if he knew what you've been doing while he's been away on both your accounts. Would you tell us about that?
My husband isn't the type of person to mention this, but I know one thought that has been in his mind is the fact that we don't have any furniture, and he probably plans to work extra hard when we get out of the Navy. But I think we owe it to ourselves to be together just as much as possible. So I have been working, and I have a little surprise for him. Don't write and tell him this now.
No, we won't. In fact, we'll have it cut out of the film so that he won't know about it.
But I hope to have quite a bit of furniture by the time he gets discharged, so he won't come home to an empty apartment.
That's just wonderful. I know in all the tenseness and the excitement of the plane trip and seeing your husband, I do know, I've been told, that you kind of carry a mental picture in your mind, a picture of tomorrow. Would you explain that picture to us?
My picture is to have Howard come home to Stevie and me so we can be together at long last in our own little apartment.
So it's the three of you in one picture. That's a wonderful picture as far as I'm concerned. We're going to see a picture of Stevie right now while you and I go to the bank and work for all three. Shall we?
Wonderful.
Let's go. Total bank, and you can work for the three of you in terms of that big bonus, too. Now, as to where the bonus is, I don't know. They found out in Los Angeles, California already. Let's see if you can find it right here at the Friendly Bank. Which question do you want to try first?
First 40.
The first 40, all right. The first 40, and see what it says. The first 40 says Paul Talman is going to tell you musically what his favorite fruit is. See if you can tell me what it is. Paul?
Tangerine.
Tangerine, all right. That's it. Which question now?
Second 40.
Second 40, she says. All right, with a lot of spirit, and let's see if we get the correct answer. If you were in Germany and you saw a sign saying verboten, would it mean enter, make a right turn, or forbidden?
Forbidden.
Forbidden, that's right. $120 ahead. Where will we look for the bonus this time? Somewhere here. Where?
I'll take the third 40.
The third 40. All right, it's for $40, and let's see. Can you tell me what is supposed to be prevented by an ounce of prevention?
Pound of crime.
That is right. Good enough for me. $150. last chance for the bonus and all the things that you and your husband are dreaming of. What?
Fourth 40.
Fourth 40, you say. All right, so for $40, we can get up to $200 if you can tell me. Say, we all know how wonderful the state of California is said to be, but the people who live there, including you. But I wonder if you can tell me the capital of California.
Sacramento?
Sacramento, of course. Well, you may receive the friendship dividend of $100. You're going to get this giant economy-sized box of Tide and $200 to help you get lots of furniture and make that picture of 3-in-1 come true.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Mr.
very
Elliott.
much, and we'll see you again. Now, ladies and gentlemen, our own Bill Rogers is about to introduce a brand new, exciting guest star on your account. Bill?
Thank you very much, Win, and that is right. Isn't she a beauty? Just look at her. You know, this machine is the wonderful new Whirlpool Imperial Automatic Washer with guide light control and exclusive suds miser that cuts your washing costs in half. You know, the people who make this wonderful new Whirlpool Automatic Washer recommend that you use Tide in it. In fact, to make sure that you do use Tide in your precious new Whirlpool, they'll soon be packing a box of Tide right in the tub of every new washer. You see, this new Whirlpool, like all top-loading automatics, was designed for full-action suds, like Tide's. And Tide is especially made to give safe, trouble-free performance in all of them. You see, in these automatic washers, no other wash day product known will wash your clothes as clean as Tide, and yet is so mild, and that, of course, includes the sudsless products. In this new Whirlpool, absolutely nothing else will wash as clean as Tide, yet is so mild, and that, of course, does include those sudsless products. Yes, as a matter of fact, you'll get the cleanest possible family wash at half the cost with Tide. Any wonder millions more women use Tide in automatic washers than any other washing product? How about you? Are you using Tide in your automatic? Don't forget, Tide is recommended by the makers of this new Whirlpool automatic washer. As a matter of fact, the makers of 25 leading automatic washers recommend Tide. In these machines, nothing else will wash as clean as Tide, and yet is so mild.
Thank you, Bill. And ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for Friendship Dividend, wherein our guests vote among themselves to determine which one of them will receive that extra $100 bonus. I say they've been busy voting. Thank you, Miss Smitty. And Miss Stadlin. And, of course, Bill, would you have these all totaled up now so that we can find out who gets the dividend? While we wait for Bill and the staff to get with the figures, let's briefly meet again our guests whom you've had a chance to get to know today. It's been a thrilling day here at the bank, hasn't it? Remember meeting Mrs. Gerke? And she came here to meet her husband on film, Bill, way out there in the Mediterranean, and how he just told her how much he loved her. You found out a little bit about them. They're a wonderful couple. They could use any amount of money. And so Mrs. Gerke had a vote. I wonder whom she voted for today. And then you remember the Dodlins, represented here by Mrs. Dodlin, and how they're trying to get little Ricky back into their family. Mr. Dodlin's son, they had a vote. I wonder which way their vote went. And last but not least, Mrs. Meddy and the wonderful visit she had with her husband. She had a vote. Let's see how all the votes total up to now. Thank you, Bill. Today's Friendship Dividend is voted by our guests goes to the Dodlins. We enjoyed being with you today. We sure did. And I hope that you'll find time to come back to the bank and see us tomorrow on account of Tide and on your account, too. See you then. Bye.
No rinse, no wipe, with spick and span. Once over and you're through. It cleans linoleum twice as fast as new detergents do. Spick and span.
Yes, Spick and Span gets linoleum cleaner twice as fast, twice as easy as sudsy soaps or detergents, because you just dampen your mop or cloth in Spick and Span solution, and dirt just mops away. Once over, no going back to rinse or wipe dry, yet grease, sticky dirt, even dirty heel marks disappear. The floor dries instantly. You can walk on it, you can move the furniture right back. Then look at your hands. You can see and feel that Spick and Span is mild, actually milder than anything that cleans so efficiently. So get
Spick and Span. No rinse, no wipe, with Spick and Span. Once over and you're through. Spick and Span.
That closes our friendly bank for today, but be sure to be with us tomorrow when Win Elliott will be back once again on your account.